What's up, guys, and welcome back to Thomas Reacts here on the 360 experience with myself, Thomas Mabaso. As many of us guys know it, that the leader of the Democratic Alliance, John Steenhuisen, has been complaining and has been lodging complaints all week out. This is after the EFF's 10-year celebration at the FNB Stadium, where the leader of the EFF, CIC, Julius Malema, and the EFF crowds were chanting, killing the Boer, killing the farmers chant. So John Steenhuisen, the next day, he took the opportunity to actually release a statement in a video form saying that what Julius Malema is actually doing, he is inciting a genocide on white people, and because the South African courts are not in his favor, he's actually going to go out there to the United Nations Human Rights Council and actually report Julius Malema there. We also saw John Steenhuisen actually asking the president of the country to go out there and actually condemn Julius Malema for chanting, killing the Boer, killing the farmers chant. I mean, like, everybody knows what this chant means, everybody knows the context of the chant, but it is clear like people like John Steenhuisen are choosing to ignore everything, because we saw the leaders of certain political parties. I saw the leader of ACDP, Pastor Kenneth Mishwe, actually going out there and lying and saying that the EFF is calling for the mass killings of white people, is calling for white genocide in South Africa. I also saw the leader of Freedom Farm Plus, I think is Groenewald. I think he also went out there to lay charges against Julius Malema about the same thing. I mean, guys, before we even go anywhere, you must also remember that the courts have actually said that the chant, it is not hate speech, because for many years, people like Tabane, people like Peter Mokaba have actually explained what the chant is really about, but people like John Steenhuisen are actually choosing not to listen. So Professor JJ Tabane, he's not really happy because John Steenhuisen also wrote a letter to the president asking him to intervene and actually exaggerating everything that has been happening right now in South Africa. I'm thinking these are in line with what he's trying to do with the United Nations Human Rights Council, because he also asked the president to come out there and condemn Julius Malema and the EFF, but I think he did that because he wants to legitimize his claim to the United Nations Human Rights Council. So JJ Tabane went to his show to actually address John Steenhuisen about thing or two about the letter that he wrote to the president. I believe that we're also gonna see that letter that JJ Tabane is so furious about.
John Steenhuisen, what? Sometimes when you are illiterate and you have what is called organic intellectualism, like a cloud, you can't accuse Cloud. You can accuse a Cloud of many things. You can accuse him of not having it, but you can't accuse him of being a fool. In Afrikaans, a dumb cop. You can't accuse him of that. I'm not sure about John Steenhuisen, because how do you write a letter to the president of a country and say, Julius Malema, because of his chant, South Africans are out in the streets on each other's necks. They want to kill each other. Mr. President, how can you allow this situation? People are pouring into the streets trying to kill each other. This is what he wrote in the letter. I'm not exaggerating. Go and read it on Media 24, wherever he's published it.
So guys, I want us to watch to read that letter that John Steenhuisen wrote to the president, the letter that made Professor JJ Tabane so angry. So I hope that you guys can see the letter right there on your screen as I'm sharing it with you. So the letter goes: Dear President Ramaphosa, on the 25th of May 2019, you were duly sworn in as the President of the Republic of South Africa at the Loftus Versfeld Stadium in Pretoria. The oath of the office which you recited at this occasion and to which you are bound includes the following solemn affirmations. I solemnly and sincerely promise that I will always promote all that will advance the Republic and oppose all that will harm it, protect it and protect the rights of all South Africans, do justice to all and devote myself to the well-being of the Republic and all of its people. Mr. President, in his voice, I remember, Mr. President, in a country like South Africa, this oath for the nation's first citizens is far most poignant than that of any other state, because South Africa's very existence rests on our nation's unique and admirable ability to always place the principles of unity, diversity, and equality ahead of popularism and divisiveness. Indeed, it is an ability which pulled South Africa from the brink of a civil war that made our country the darling of the free world, a country which demonstrated that the people are stronger when they join hands rather than bind them, a country that proved to the world that peaceful coexistence of different people is possible. But South Africa now faces a new threat, one which risks destroying very fabric of our nation and our society altogether, one which you to date have yet to address, as is your responsibility as South Africa's head of state. I like it when these guys are trying to tell the president about his duties and what he's supposed to do or not supposed to do. So I don't know whether that John Steenhuisen believes that he understands what's happening in the presidency more than Cyril Ramaphosa. I doubt that. At the end, the Economic Freedom Fighters EFF celebrated its 10th anniversary celebrations. It was here that Julius Malema once again chanted the song Kill the Boer, going so far as to say, I will quote, shoot to kill. He then mimicked the sound of machine gun fire to members of his political cult. This is where I always have a problem, guys. This is where I always have a problem with people like John Steenhuisen, because guys, I have no problem. I honestly have no problem when someone attacks the leader of the opposition party. I have no problem, because it is politics. It is between them. But when you start to call people, when you start to say things like a political party is a political cult, you are actually insulting the members of that political party. So, which means it's no longer about the leaders of the political party. You are now insulting the people. So it's like saying the people who love the EFF, or people who can actually understand what the EFF is trying to say, are actually in a cult, which means that these people cannot think for themselves. And guys, this is kind of language that we cannot accept as South Africans. We cannot accept to be insulted just because people choose to vote differently. I don't have any problem with anyone voting for the ANC. I can go out there and criticize the ANC as much as I want, but I will not go as far as attacking people who are voting for the ANC, because I believe that anyone can make up their own minds. This is why I have a problem with this kind of language. And I quote, shoot to kill. He then mimicked the sound of a machine gun to fire members of his political cult who answered with thunderous approval. For millions of South Africans, this was a spine-chilling reminder of the horrors of our violent and divisive past. It struck fear into the heart of our nation. I don't know what fear that I don't know the fear that he's talking about, because there is no fear right here. I don't know what fear he's talking about. Because for years the song has never actually incited people to go out there and kill the people, to kill white people. It has never done that. It has never done that, because the people who chant this, who chant this, they understand the context of the chant. The people, like, we've been watching the clips of Thabo Mbeki and Peter Mkaba for days now, telling us that when they said kill the Boer, kill the farmer, they were not actually meaning like in literal forms we must go out there and kill the Boers and kill the farmers, but they were actually talking about the oppressive system which was run by the Boers and the farmers. So when they said kill the Boer, kill the farmers, they didn't mean it like in literal forms we must go out there and kill the Boer and kill the farmers. They're talking about killing the oppressive system that is actually killing the black people. And even if you look at history of South Africans, we don't have any past of white genocide in South Africa. It has never happened in South Africa. It has never happened. I mean, like, this song was chanted many years ago, even in the Apartheid. This song was chanted, but it has never actually, there was never an evidence from the song being chanted to mass killings of white people. Even after now, recently at the EFF's 10-year celebration that was held at the FNB, the FNB Stadium had over 100,000 people there. All those people, they were chanting this, But none of them went out there and started killing white people and started killing the farmers, because everybody understands the context of the song. So this letter, I understand why Professor J.J. Tabane is so mad. I understand him exactly. Mr. President, this is not the first time that Julius Malema has incited total anarchy and citizen-on-citizen violence. There is no citizen-on-citizen violence right now in South Africa, guys. There is no citizen-on-citizen violence right now in South Africa, guys. And what these guys are doing to the white Afrikaner-speaking people, they are actually using their fears against them. So the Afrikaner-speaking people, they need to be aware of people like John Steenhuisen who are actually using their fears against them. Because nothing like that is happening in South Africa, guys. It is not the first time that he has called for the civil war and wanton bloodshed for political gain, and it will certainly not be the last. But given the tight pull that South Africa now walks between a nation pursuit of happiness and unity and people divided by hatred and intolerance, this must be the last time that you remain silent on Julius Malema and his vitriolic and fascist hatred for his citizens. This must be the last time you remain silent on Julius Malema and his vitriolic and fascist hatred for his fellow South Africans. So the DA is telling the president that you better do what we are telling you to do. They are telling the president you must do what we are telling you to do. So do you see the problem that I have with the DA? As the world watches Julius Malema unstitch the very fabric of South African society and undo the South African dream with absolute impunity, South Africans now cower away from each other, fearful of their fellow men. There is no such thing, guys. There's no such thing. Guys, there's no such thing. He says that now we fear each other in the streets. We don't fear each other in the streets. We don't fear each other in the streets, guys. All because you refuse to call out and condemn those who dare to spit in the face of Nelson Mandela. But I don't say spit in the face of Nelson Mandela when Nelson Mandela was also chanting the song. You cannot use Nelson Mandela against us. You can't use Nelson Mandela against black people, man. You cannot say we are spitting in the face of Nelson Mandela when people like Nelson Mandela fought tooth and nail for this chance to remain legal in South Africa, because these people, you are talking about people who actually fought for our struggle to be recognized. Today in South Africa, we can talk all we want about apartheid and the effects of apartheid, and no South African must be stopped from talking about apartheid. It is our history. We need to learn our history. So you can't say we are spitting in the face of Nelson Mandela when Nelson Mandela fought for the same chant. You can't say that. Only because you refuse to call out and condemn those who dare to spit in the face of Nelson Mandela and the sacrifices he and many others made for South Africans. We also desperately want to call our own. The longer Malema uses racial nationalism and Chavez-style rhetoric to pull South Africans apart, the more disgusted and dissuaded investors will become with South Africa and our economy. So now they are threatening us with the investors, guys. What is it that investors are doing for us in South Africa, guys? Can you tell the truth? What is it that investors, like every time these people they talk about the investors, what is it that the investors are doing for us? What is it that the investors are doing for us? So I actually understand why Professor JJ Tabane was so mad, because this letter is so long, but I'm not going to finish this. I'm gonna go back to JJ Tabane and catch his reaction, because I can already find the gist of this thing. Because right now what John Steenhuisen is trying to do, he's trying to force the president to do what he wants. He wants the president to run on the DA mandate, not the ANC mandate. He wants the president to ignore the South African courts and not listen to the courts and listen to the United Nations and the United States. I get exactly what he's talking about. I get what he's talking about.
Go and read John Steenhuisen's letter and tell me, would you not call him a dumb cop after you read that letter?
I would.
Because first of all, it's lies. It's a lie that black people have so less of an agency that they can listen to one person and then go out into the street with asagais, man, and with spears and start killing boys. That's rubbish.
Mm-hmm. And it's also insulting for this for John Steenhuisen to pretend as if black people are these animals who are just out there to kill each and every white person that is on the streets. It's insulting for us because you are portraying us as animals. You are portraying us as animals. So which means we cannot think for ourselves. So we waited for Julius Malema to give us a directive. So now we are out there killing white people. Like, guys, this is insulting because the guy is portraying black people as animals. He's portraying us as wild dogs.
John Steenhuisen is racist. Everyone just remind him of the poster that he approved and supported in Phoenix, which called people there racists, which called racists their heroes under his watch. Today, he wants to tell us that black people are so stupid that they will listen to one leader of a party that's not even number two. His party is number two. Their party is number three with 14% of the vote. All black people will listen to that party and start killing whites on the streets because Julius said so.
Mm-hmm.
What sort of strategic thinking goes into these things?
There's no strategic thinking in the DA. They've proved it with John Steenhuisen. Even by electing John Steenhuisen as the leader of the party, like the DA like showed us that it is dead right now. It is a dead party. There's no strategic thinking right here. Because what is it that this guy is doing? He's going there to an international community and presenting black people as dogs, as wild dogs who are out there to kill white people. But at the same time, he wants to preside over us. So can you imagine if John Steenhuisen is your president? Can you imagine the laws that he would implement over your head? If this guy can go out there on the international stage and lie about us and pretend it like we are stupid by actually listening to Julius Malema without any evidence. And it's crazy because there are white Africans who are listening to John Steenhuisen without any evidence. People like him. It's almost as if John Steenhuisen is so desperate for this white genocide to happen so that all his crazy claims can be valid. But at what cost? Does John Steenhuisen actually want this genocide to happen in South Africa? It's almost as if he's longing for it so that he can make his point. So this is a guy who wants to be right by all means necessary, even if it means people dying. He has no problem as long as he's right. There is no white genocide in South Africa. If you are watching this internationally, there is no white genocide in South Africa. No white people are attacked in South Africa. Crime is affecting everyone in South Africa.
I mean, we understand this election season. We understand that
it's crazy, guys. So I sit back and be like, actually, who is the DA actually pitching to? Because right now the DA, they're not pitching to black people right now. The majority of these people or of this country, the DA is not pitching for us. The people who actually should be worried is Freedom Fund Plus. It's Freedom Fund Plus because the DA is going at its base right now. The only political party that needs to be worried is Freedom Fund Plus. I swear. Because the DA has made a decision that they will no longer represent anything black people. They will not longer push any policies that are inclined with black people. So the party that needs to be really careful of the DA is Freedom Fund Plus. I know that Freedom Fund Plus thinks that we are in solidarity with the DA. You are not. The DA is coming at your base right now.
Election season, you understand that you have to justify your reason for excluding the EFF from the so-called moon-packed shot that is destined to fail.
It is going to fail.
But please, man, we are not idiots.
Exactly.
South Africans are cleverer than that. They will decide at the polls whether they like the Red Berets or not. And they will decide to what extent they like them. But they are not going to be hoodwinked by you grandstanding internationally. And then you got Elon Musk. I mean, this chap. John Steenhuisen, guys, I give up on him. I give up on John Steenhuisen. I give up on the DA. They've made the worst mistake with John Steenhuisen. By electing John Steenhuisen as the leader of the DA, that was the worst mistake the party has ever made. Oh, no, if this is what it means to be a billionaire, I fear, man. I just fear that, it's like you're getting dementia. Once you get this money, dementia sets in and so on.
Exactly.
Can you just open a dictionary and read what is genocide and stop with your nonsense? Genocide is a very serious thing. You can't just use the word loosely if you are talking about a party or talking about a stock fell or what or something. It's a serious thing to say there's white genocide in South Africa. Rubbish. You may own Twitter or whatever you now call it, but surely it's not a license to be silly.
And one of the reasons that Elon Musk bought Twitter was because he said he is against fake news, he is against misinformation. That's why he bought Twitter, because he wanted to make Twitter a platform that is neutral, that gives everyone a chance to actually present their own views. He wanted to make Twitter this beautiful and perfect platform. But right now, he is using the same Twitter he bought with $44 billion to spread misinformation. He bought Twitter because he wanted to get rid of misinformation, but the same guy who bought Twitter is now spreading misinformation using the same Twitter. I mean, like, if Elon Musk really wanted to understand what this whole kill the bull, kill the farmer chant is all about, he can do a bit of research, man. He doesn't even have to do it himself. He can ask one of his little assistants there. Like, tell me, what did the South African courts say about this kill the bull, kill the farmers chant? And what is the context, or how do they present it? Maybe they can play him that video of Thabo Mbeki, and maybe they can play the video of Julius Malema or of Peter Mokaba actually explaining all of this. But he chose to ignore that, but ran to his big page and lie about South Africa. So he bought Twitter to counter misinformation, but he's using Twitter to spread misinformation.
I think the issue of race relations must cut both ways. If you are Groenewald, please don't take us for idiots. We know that you are part of SADF that killed our people. That killed our people here and killed our people in all the hinterlands of Southern Africa. You are sent to Angola, to Lesotho to kill our people. Today you're lecturing us about that
human
the
rights.
chant is going to kill your people. That's rich.
This is rich coming from people who were actually participating in apartheid regime. People who were active in oppressing black people, but today they are lecturing us about human rights. It's a shame. That's why a lot of South Africans are mad right now. South Africans are furious and they don't have an outlet. They are furious because the same people who were oppressing them, some of these people were working for apartheid regime that killed our forefathers, that killed our grandmothers, that killed some of our parents. But today the same people are lecturing us about human rights. This is why South Africans are mad. This is why I say John Steenhuisen is the worst DA leader ever. Because he's so tone deaf. He's so tone deaf. He's not even in touch with the realities of South Africans right now. He's not in touch with the realities of being a South African right now, a black South African right now. He's not. He keeps saying that the genocide that we were able to avert in the 90s. He doesn't talk about what genocide. Why didn't he? Why can't he say that there was almost a civil war in South Africa because the white people killed Chris Hani? Why didn't he say that? Why didn't he say the apartheid regime? The racist apartheid regime, it has killed Chris Hani. And South Africa almost broke into civil war. And the chant then was much relevant. But still, people didn't go out there and kill people because of the chant. That's why, like, if the chant didn't incite people to go out there and kill people in apartheid, why would the chant incite people to go out there and kill white people today? Black people are not animals, guys. We are not animals.
Coming from you, this country is going to be built by all of us holding hands, but more importantly, respecting each other's cultures, traditions, and history. You are not going to wipe away the fact that hundreds of our people, if not thousands,
so they are trying to wipe away black people's history. It cannot be allowed.
To wipe away.
It cannot be allowed, guys. Because if they can get rid of one chant, what is it that they are going to get rid of next? They go after the chant. They go after, you know what, you don't know, slogans. They go after, like, it's many things. It can really set a dangerous precedent. And South Africans cannot allow people like John Steenhuisen to actually try to erase our culture in front of us. And criminalize it and tell us that if we sing struggle songs or if we chant the struggle songs, we are actually racist. He cannot do that. He cannot tell us that. He cannot.
To wipe away the fact that hundreds of our people, if not thousands, were killed by the apartheid state, and from time to time when we gather, we'll remind ourselves of the struggle against that evil system that was declared by the United Nations as a crime against humanity. You're not going to wipe it away and say, oh, please, can we move along? Let's move on now. Please, when you gather, don't sing when you gather and bury people, don't sing Hamburg at Mkonto, because Mkonto was disbanded. Please, go and ban the uniform of Mkonto. Don't have veterans. Hey!
Exactly.
If you can count, it's 2023, not 1960. Where white people thought blacks can just be told as a mob what to do, what to say, how to think. The likes of John Steenhuisen need to be reminded we're in 2023, where black people can actually think for themselves. They don't have to have a mob mentality.
So this is why South Africans are mad, guys. This is why we are mad. because they are trying to get rid of our history. They are trying to get rid of our history. So guys, please tell me what you think on the comment section, and please hit that like button and hit the notification bell so that you can get notifications whenever I drop new episode. And the most important part, guys, please hit that subscribe button. Subscribe. My name is Thomas Mabaso, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.